It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Lee's McRae's head cycling coach, Coach Tim Hall. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Brandon.
That's doing amazing.
Thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome. Can you talk about, of course, how you knew that you wanted to get started in your college coaching career as a cycling coach?
Well, truth is, I did not know that I wanted to be a coach. I did not plan to become a coach as I was growing up. It wasn't the profession that I saw myself getting into. During college and graduate school, I focused on business. I was an accounting major, and once I graduated from Cumberland in my undergrad, I went straight into a master's of business, and I saw myself as a business person and striving towards leadership positions in the business world. But after a few years of doing that, it just wasn't as rewarding as I had hoped that it would be. And an opportunity to coach came open at my alma mater at Cumberland University, which is where I got my start. And I decided to go for it. And it wasn't until I was in my early 30s that even the idea of coaching, working with other people, was something that I wanted to do. And when that opportunity came up, I jumped at it, and I've been doing it for 17 years now. That started in 2005, so I've been at it for a while.
What was it like playing college baseball for
Cumberland University? Well, first off, it was very transformational period for me as far as an athlete goes. And being at a school like Cumberland, it's a small private liberal arts institution near Nashville, Tennessee. And when I was leaving high school, I was really just focused on being a baseball player. That was what I grew up doing. And I just wanted to continue to play. And I was fortunate to be pretty good and got the attention of some teams, but none of the big D1 schools, made any offers to me. And Cumberland was the one school that showed interest, wanted me on their team. And, I was a little bit apprehensive about going to a small school. I went to a high school that had over 2,000 students, and our graduating class had nearly 600. And then go to college, and it didn't even have 1,000 students at the time. So it was a big culture shock for me, but I wanted to play baseball. That was my real passion, what I was pursuing. I was a good student too, but that was what I really wanted to focus on. But going there, it was on the heels of them having gone to the NAIA World Series the year before. So they were in the news. They were hugely successful, and had a phenomenal coach, Coach Woody Hunt, who is in every baseball Hall of Fame imaginable now. He subsequently won 3 national championships and has had countless All-Americans, signed many ball players to professional contracts or helped them do that. And so I was a part of it. My freshman year was after they had just gone to the World Series. So fabulous team, fabulous coaching, and it helped me grow in ways that I didn't even know were possible. And playing for Coach Hunt was the difference maker for me in order to get to the professional level, and believing that I could do it. And he was a big reason why I was able to do all those things, and has also played a big role in my coaching career because he's been there as a mentor for me. So it wasn't just about the baseball experience, because what I didn't know at the time was that, yes, years down the road, I was going to become a coach, and that those experiences at Cumberland and with Coach Hunt and his mentorship and his guidance and counsel throughout my whole life was going to play such a big role as a college coach in a completely different sport. But it was a great experience for me. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And it has helped shape me into who I am today.
Of course, coming out of college playing baseball, what was it like getting drafted in the 91 MLB draft?
It was very exciting. I guess that was 31 years ago now. And at the time, I wasn't sure that I was going to get drafted. The previous 2 years building up to that, our team had been doing really well. I'd been performing really well. We had many scouts in the stands each and every game that we were playing, but you don't know for sure if it's going to happen. You don't know if they're going to choose you. And when it finally did, it was sort of a validation, an affirmation that you were good enough to get to the next level, and that a major league organization saw that you had the tools and the skills to compete above and beyond the average college ball player. And I had distinguished myself, and that's what I had been working towards throughout college, was to get that opportunity to play at the next level. So to get drafted, it's an exciting moment, and it's like going from high school to college. You don't know what to expect at that next level because it's completely new, and it was like that for me. I can remember it like it was yesterday, just going through the process of getting drafted, signing the contract, getting on a plane, going to essentially a mini spring training before you start your short season A-ball, and it's exciting. It's really exciting. And then you get the chance to play with a really high level caliber teammates, competition. It kicks it up a notch. So it was a really exciting period in my life, and I look back on those times very fondly.
What was that feeling like when the Padres called you and told you that you were going to get drafted?
Well, funny thing is, I missed the phone call. I got drafted on day 2. I didn't get picked on the first day. Back then, it was over a series of days and had many more rounds than they do right now. And it was day 2, and I was working out. I was throwing, hitting, doing the stuff I need to do to stay sharp. And when I got home, my mom said that I'd gotten the call and to call them back. And so, I called the scout back who was in our area, who's responsible for helping to get me signed. And it was just, it was a sense of relief. It was a sense of, wow, what next now? Even if you get drafted, that doesn't mean that you're going to sign. It doesn't mean that you have to sign. And I didn't have to, because I was only a junior and I could have gone back for my senior year. And so I had Coach Hunt with me and my family when we sat down with the scout to look over the contract and think it through and make the decision. And I remember stepping outside with my dad and Coach Hunt to discuss the offer that they were making. And, there was something that Coach Hunt said at the time. And he said, look, you've accomplished everything there is to accomplish with our team, because I had achieved All-American status and I had performed really well, and things were there wasn't much for me to do with the team anymore. I mean, I could have, and I would have enjoyed it. And but he said, now's the time to take this next step. Plus, if I come back to school, I might not get drafted next year. This opportunity might not happen again. And so he was encouraging me to sign the contract and take that step. So it was very exciting. I'd never even been on an airplane before getting drafted. And a few days after signing the contract, I'm on a plane to Yuma, Arizona, and meeting a whole new group of people and meeting former big leaguers and amazing coaches and other new teammates who are like me, coming from college and high school, and we're all just excited to get a paycheck to play a game. So, it's a really unique experience.
Of course, during your professional playing career, what was it like playing for San Diego, but also getting to play with the Braves?
Well, I was with San Diego for a few years. I was in their minor league system, and it was really cool. Well, the one cool part was their spring training facility at the time for the big league club was at the same location as the minor league team. And for a lot of teams at that time, they were, the big league club, minor league teams would be in separate locations, so you didn't get to see them. But for us, we were at the same field complex, and so I got to watch Tony Gwynn up close every single day. So there's when you got a Hall of Fame player like Tony Gwynn that you get to watch and see practice and prepare to play up close, you stop what you're doing and you pay attention. So to get to watch guys like him and Benito Santiago and Fred McGriff and Gary Sheffield and Andy Bennis and players like that, it's really cool to go from watching all these people on ESPN and SportsCenter to now you're there. And so that was fun for a few years to be with them. And then I had an in-between year where I played independent ball after getting released by San Diego after a couple years. Signed a contract to play with an independent team in Corpus Christi, which was an amazing experience because we ended up winning the league championship, and I had a really good season there, which then provided me the opportunity to get back into the major league system with the Atlanta Braves. And I went to actually had to drop out of college in my final semester of college. I dropped out of college to sign a minor league contract to go to spring training with the Braves. And so I did that. I wasn't prepared for that spring training because I didn't have that offer in hand. I didn't know that I was going to go to spring training that year. I had a chance to go back to Corpus Christi. That was my plan, but I wasn't going to have to go there until May or so. So I delayed my preparation. And but I jumped at the chance to sign with the Braves and go to spring training, which for every minor leaguer, unless you're a high draft pick, and you have within your contract, the stipulations that you're going to be there for multiple years and have opportunity to be on the 40-man roster or get to the big leagues in a certain timeline. Most of the other players, like spring training is a time where you're on eggshells. You have to play, you have to perform, you have to be at your best in spring training, so that at the end of spring training, you then get sent to whatever level that you're able to play at, for a team in that organization. So you don't know until the very end, did you make a team or not? So yeah, I'd been released previously by San Diego, get picked up in this independent league. And I went there to Corpus Christi with the intention of, I want to get back into a major league organization. So yeah, I signed that minor league contract with the Braves, knowing that, all right, I'm not really prepared. I'm going to do my very best. Hopefully at the end of spring training, I've performed well enough that I'm going to get to, go to one of their minor league teams. Well, during that spring training, I worked out with their AA team the whole time. And at the time, Bruce Benedict was the manager of that squad, and their team was based in Greenville. And spring training was okay for me. I definitely was not at my best. I didn't perform poorly, but I didn't perform up to my ability because I just went in ill prepared. And that was all because of the timing and the last minute offer to go. So I got down to the last day of spring training, made it all the way until the last day. And for those who don't know, when you're in a spring training situation with a major league team, they've got different teams at different levels. And as I said, I was with a AA squad. The final week or two of spring training, they're releasing people every day, and they're shrinking the roster sizes or getting a good, better, more clear idea of who's going to make the team at the end. And I was a catcher. So as a catcher, they keep catchers until the last day because catchers have to catch all these pitchers and catch the bullpens, and they need all the catchers that they can get to so that they can see these pitchers work. So I knew that if I was going to get released, it would be late in the process. And sure enough, get down to the last day of spring training, and this is 1995. I get down to the last day, and I knew that I was either going to Greenville, South Carolina to play AA, or I was going home. And unfortunately, I went home. And so it was at that point that I made the decision that I'm ready to finish my undergraduate degree, go to graduate school, and just sort of just turn the page and pivot towards a whole new direction in life. And so it was a great experience. It taught me a lot about what I'm capable of, and that when you get to that level of a sport, it's not like playing in high school or even playing in college. It's a completely different thing when your entire focus is the game. You're not having to go to school. You're not having to go to class. It literally is your job. You're getting a paycheck to play a game, and it is your craft, and it's a 24/7 thing. And it takes a while to adapt to that, because it's not something you grow up, you think about it as a kid, and you're wanting to play all the time, but when you're actually doing it, that's completely different, because then you don't have all these other externals to have to focus on. It is about the game. And so I had a blast. And again, it's an experience that I think has really helped me be a better coach, because through that process of high school, college, and professional, I got to play for amazing coaches throughout the entire process. And I think that's a large reason why I was able to make it as far as I did, is because I had incredible coaching along the way.
Of course, after your playing career in baseball, what was it like getting into cycling and becoming a cycling coach?
It took me a few years. As I said, when I got released by the Braves, the next 2 years, I focused 100% on my education, finished my undergrad, and then went straight into a master's of business, finished my master's in business. And then, so that's about a 2-year or so window where I wasn't really active. I was working full time while also going to school. And so it was the first time in my life where I really wasn't even an athlete. And I'd never been in that position before, where athletics and a game was not part of my daily routine. So for those 2 years, my focus was elsewhere. Through that process, simply put, I got out of shape, and I found that I didn't like that feeling of not being and feeling and acting like an athlete. And so after I got out of school and was working full time only, I started to work out again, started to do some running. But I started to, because I put on some weight, the running wasn't going well for me, and I was having some knee troubles. And I just knew, all right, I've got to get in better shape before I really go at this as if I was in shape. And so one day I just decided that I was going to buy a bicycle. I mean, I don't know where that idea came from. I grew up with bikes and, had fun riding bikes when I was a kid, but I'd never raced competitively. I'd never had a real road bike. It was just riding through the neighborhood with my friends. And so one day I just decided, maybe I'll give bicycling a try. I did have a coworker who raced bikes and rode bikes, and he had been encouraging me to give bicycling a try. And I thought, okay, all right, maybe that will work. And I hopefully won't have any knee trouble pedaling a bicycle. So I saved up my money, bought a bike, and immediately found that I really enjoyed it. It helped me to express myself in an athletic sense, which is something I'd been missing, and also found that I was good at it. So I enjoyed it. I was good at it. It helped me get into shape. And I was getting really good encouragement from the people that I started riding bikes with. This was in South Florida. I got together with there's a good bike club down there that I got to be a member of. And they were really encouraging. And then after a couple of years of just riding a lot of rides and putting in a lot of miles, I decided to take it to another level and start competing in races. And so the competitive juices came back, and I just wanted to express myself as an athlete in a competitive sense, and the bicycle was a great tool to be able to do that.
What was it like, obviously, coming to Les McRae and becoming the head cycling coach for them?
Well, it was a long process once I started riding a bike, because there was a few years there where I just rode, and then I started to race a little bit. And as I said, I'd worked in the business world for a little while before deciding to go for a coaching position at my alma mater, which is Cumberland University. So I first worked there. I coached there for 8 years, and oversaw and ran and managed a team that was anywhere between 12 and 15 athletes. We had men and women, and so I got 8 years experience of learning what it takes to be a good, effective coach. And in 2013, I was essentially recruited away from Cumberland to come to Les McRae McRae by our athletic director. The position was open, and yeah, just like being in college or going through that process of signing a contract with a major league team. It's like it's nice to get recruited and be wanted. And so after 8 years at Cumberland, I decided to come to Lees McRae and chose Lees McRae because it at the time and still is, it's one of the premier collegiate varsity cycling teams in the country. It's a bigger program. There's more athletes. It's the scope and the scale of what it is that we do at Lees McRae was much bigger than what I was doing at Cumberland. And so I wanted that extra challenge, and I wanted to work with athletes who were, I guess you want to say, just more competitive. There's more of them, and who have a desire to race professionally and have the ability to race professionally. So the quality of the athletes that I am working with on a daily basis were just a step above what I was accustomed to at Cumberland. And that's something I, throughout my life, have been accustomed to, is working with athletes who want to perform at an elite level, pursue high performance. And those are the kinds of kids that we attract at Lees McRae. So the opportunity to challenge my coaching skills, my leadership skills, my managerial skills, my budget skill, every skill imaginable a coach has to have, I knew was going to get challenged here. And so I was in need of a new and different, bigger challenge at the time the opportunity came up. So, and plus Banner Elk, North Carolina is a beautiful area to live in. You know, we are in the nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains. The views, the scenery, the outdoors, the nature, the everything we have to offer here is beautiful. And so living in the mountains was a big adjustment, but it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life, to live in a landscape such as this, and to be able to get to coach and work with some of the best athletes in the country is just a very rewarding situation.
Of course, can you talk about the culture that you built for Lees McRae, and what was it like transitioning from D2 to D1?
Well, first on the D2, D1 thing, those are just some, there really wasn't necessarily a transition there as far as those kinds of levels and designations go, because at the time, the team I was coaching, I mean, we were competing head to head against Lees McRae. So I was very familiar with them. We were competitors. And so there really wasn't much of a transition from that level to this level. It was more about the scale and the scope and the size of the team, and managing, you know, instead of managing 15 athletes, now I'm managing 45. Like, okay, that's a big jump. So that takes, you have to slow things down. It means you have to put in more effort to connect with more people on a regular basis. You have to work closely with an assistant coach to be able to do that, and so that is a definite challenge. I mean, I think that's the biggest change, is working with more people with a bigger budget, going to more races. Yeah, it's you have to have a really big view, everything, and you can't get too bogged down in one little detail, or else you're going to miss a lot of the other details that are taking place. So so that's one thing. I think in general, just being at a place like Lees McRae, and there are a few other schools that we compete against that are a lot like us in their size and their scale and their scope. You know, for me, it's just a rewarding challenge to get to work with the athletes that we do, the number of athletes that we work with, and it's just, you know, it's a daily challenge. No 2 days are the same, and it's just something that's really rewarding for me to get to be able to do.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you built for Lees McRae cycling?
Yeah, for any team, any organization, the culture is of utmost importance if you want to be successful, short term or long term. And I knew when I first got here that was going to be the biggest challenge. And when you get down to it, culture is defined, or is going to be affected. It's defined by leadership. It's defined by the people who are entrusted with the responsibility of leading, and who have the authority to and the position to, and the responsibility to lead and guide things the right, proper way. Not just to get through the moment, but also provide something that is sustainable long term. So I knew when I got here, based on what I knew about the program and the team in the years leading up to this, that, you know, they were in need of some changes. And so the big thing was helping to establish some some consistent behaviors that are going to feed into greater success for everybody. And again, that starts with leadership, not just with me as a head coach or my assistant coach, but it's by helping the people within your organization and your team to develop into leaders themselves, and establish the best practices, the best behaviors that it takes to be successful as a whole. And so that includes, whether you want to call it goal setting or defining what it is that you want as a team and an organization, what you want to achieve, knowing exactly where you're going, why you're going there, what it's going to take to get there, and expressing that and emphasizing that and explaining how to do it, and teaching everybody not just what it takes to be successful on the bike, but what does it take to be successful off the bike. And so being consistent in that application of how we do what we do, which is going to include a lot of engagement, because our sport is very different than a ball sport. Like, if you play basketball, football, baseball, hey, we got practice at 3 o'clock every day. It's like you're there. You know that you're going to be at practice every day at 3 o'clock. It's going to last 2 to 3 hours or however long. Our sport's a little bit different. It is a team sport, but there's a lot of individualized training that takes place. There is some group training, but we don't have a set practice every single day where everybody shows up. That's not the function of our sport. We do some of that. So it's about establishing consistent behavior patterns that's going to help the team get better and also help the individual get their training needs, and being consistent with that, setting high standards of behavior, and holding everyone accountable to those standards, and just knowing that what it looks like today is not going to magically get to where you want it to be ideally in a week or a month or even a year. It's going to take time to get to that point. So, the first thing for me was to just clearly articulate my expectations of them as first people, all right, as individuals, focusing on character, doing what you say you're going to do, treating people with respect. Secondly, them as a as a student in a classroom, setting expectations in the classroom, and then setting expectations as a competitor third. Because if you're struggling as a person, you're struggling in a classroom, chances are you're not going to be a very good competitor on a bike or on the field. So, the big thing at first was really focusing on what I call the 3 C's, which is character, classroom, and competitor, and being consistent with that, holding them accountable to that. And if they can do those things, we're going to have less problems. And that's going to feed into that culture that you're talking about, where everyone is striving not just to be a great athlete, but they're also striving to be a better person. They're striving to be their best in the classroom. And if you can get all those things going in the right direction, it will feed on itself. And it's fun to be around a lot of highly motivated athletes who want to be the best version of themselves in all aspects of their life. And if you can do that, you're going to have less fires that you have to put out day to day. And if a problem does come up, it's actually a good problem you're trying to solve, because you're helping them to go from good to great, instead of, in trouble to just a baseline good situation. So that's something that took many years to do, to be able to put those mechanisms in place where, the kids knew clearly what was expected of them in every facet. And now I'm about to go into my 10th season, and I'm not having to emphasize those 3 C's much anymore. Now it's really about emphasizing what does it take to perform at a high level on the bicycle? What are the essentials that a high performing athlete has to execute on in order to actually perform well in a race? So we're at that point now where that's what's driving our discussion. And all those things, again, feed into your culture. And it starts with leadership. And then if you can get all those things going together and you got a high level of engagement, then that's going to be what lights the fire for that chemistry that you want within a team. And so, it takes a lot of work. It is not easy, but it's worth doing. And so, yeah, I would say that establishing culture, building the culture, and overseeing culture is really one of the largest responsibilities that a coach has to do if they want any chance at being successful, day to day or throughout a season.
How is it like, obviously, taking 10 individuals to the national championship level?
Well, it's rewarding. It's very rewarding. As a program, this team has had, I think we're now at 59 individuals who have won an individual national championship in cycling. We have won 10 team national championships. And I've been a part of quite a few of the individual national championships. I've not myself as a coach led a team to a team national championship, but that's one of my coaching goals. But it's that feeling when the athlete you coach crosses the line first is, it's not so much validating as a coach or exciting as a coach. It's more of the fact that you're excited and you're happy for that individual, because you know how hard they've been working towards this moment, and you know how difficult it is to win any race, much less a national championship race. And to be able to pull it off on the day that's the biggest race and the most important one that and the one that means the most to them, it's just a special moment for that person to actually be able to do it. And then to see the look in their eyes and the joy and just the emotion that they have, seeing them express that and share that with their teammates is like, that's why any coach coaches, is seeing that and watching it happen. So it's really rewarding to see an athlete's hard work, commitment, focus, their discipline come together on one day, and for them to achieve that outcome. It's exciting to watch, and to see it happen as many times as I have. It never gets old. It's what any cyclist that going to a national championship, that's what they dream of, is being able to win the race, put on that national championship jersey that has the stars and stripes on it, and that's something that will never be taken away from them. And whether it's the person winning it, or you're the teammate that helped them do it, or you just are friends with them, it's a really wonderful feeling to get to experience it, because it's something that you don't ever forget.
Who are some of the teams that you face each week in your conference?
Oh, names that everybody's heard of. There's a lot of small schools like ours out there that we compete against, like, Brevard College, Belmont Abbey, Mars Hill, King University, Warren Wilson College, but then we also compete against other schools that are in the ACC conference, the SEC conference, like Georgia Tech, Alabama, University of South Carolina, North Carolina, Appalachian State, Western Carolina, and any big time football school or big time college athletics at the NCAA level. Like, we race against them too, because there is a club division within collegiate cycling. So we go head to head against them week to week. And in our sport, when we get to a national championship event, now the way it's broken up is that there's a club category, which we don't compete in at the championship, but then there's also a varsity category. And in varsity, which is what we are, varsity schools are distinguished by the fact that we have full-time coaches. The college fully funds the team. They offer scholarships, and club teams, which are usually the teams that are at state schools and state universities, they don't offer those luxuries. So when we get the national championship, we compete in different races. So yeah, it's it's really cool though to get to race against big time schools, because a lot of them do have really good competitive club teams.
Of course, what is it like going against teams like Belmont Abbey versus obviously going against like Carolina and South Carolina?
Well, there's no unlike other sports where, say, if you're a D, an NAIA school or D3 or D2 school, and you say, I'm going to go compete against this big D1, we don't have that same sort of relationship in our size and how we see ourselves as, say, underdogs versus, say, a big time D1. It's not really like that in our sport. There are some club teams that have really robust teams that have a lot of members and they race really well, but then there's other big state schools that have small teams, and so our competitiveness as a team doesn't always hinge on what level of designation your college or university is at. It really goes to the heart of what's their funding like, what's the support like, what is their inherent leadership that is within that given club or team, and how effective they are. So, I mean, it's fun, it's nice. Our administration and other administrators at other schools love to say that, yeah, I mean, our team beat, this club team from a Division I school. But, for us inside the sport, we know that, that's not really where we get a satisfaction from. It's more about our, just the head-to-head competition within the race, because it really, in the end, if a good bicycle racer goes to Belmont Abbey or they go to North Carolina, it doesn't really matter who they represent. It's just, are they a good bicycle racer? And we all want to race against the best bike racers and see what we're made of. So whether they're from a big institution or a small one, really in our sport, it doesn't matter, because you can compete head to head no matter what your jersey name is on the front.
Of course, what does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to go into college cycling?
It's I would say probably a very different experience in some respects as opposed to other sports, but for a lot of it, it is the same. Most college cycling coaches, we're not on the road recruiting like, say, a ball sport coach would be, going to watch games and having showcases and things of that nature. We do go to races ourselves that are held by USA Cycling that are not collegiate, and we're there to watch young riders race. But so the whole format of say college coaches going out, hitting the road, recruiting, doing home visits, visiting high schools, things of that nature, that's not something really that takes place in cycling. But the process of communication that takes place between a recruit interested in us or us interested in them, all of that is the same. Recruiting is the single biggest thing that I do. That's the most important thing that I do. So that moment of contact when a kid or a family reaches out to us saying they're interested in joining our team and want to learn more about what we look for and what that process is like, then that's where it is the same as what any kid would go through in Division I, 2, or 3. And so, yeah, it's just a matter of us communicating together about who they are as a person, what they bring to the table as a cyclist, what are their ambitions, what are their goals, are they going to be a good fit for our culture, and what can they contribute to us as a team, and how can we help them be the best person, be the best student, be the best athlete they can be. we still want to make sure we match up their academic interest with what we offer here at Leeds McRae, which is small private liberal arts. We don't have all of the fancy degrees that a big state institution has. So we need to make sure that we match up the academic interest with what they value as an athlete and what it is that they're looking for. So it's all about communication. They do visit the campus. We do meet them. Typically we get to take them on a ride and go out on a ride and see what kind of rider they are in person. And it's just a constant dialogue of communicating, finding out, hey, do we get along? Do you like us? Do we like you? What are your skills and abilities that you bring to the table? What is your experience that you offer? Just like any other sport, you're going to look at a player's success. You're going to look at their stats. Were they part of a winning team? Do they come from a winning culture? We look for those same sort of things. And so a lot of racers come to us with a wide variety of background of racing experience. And so we look for those who have more experience at the elite level, and the more of those that we can attract, the faster we're going to be. So, just selling yourself basically like any other athlete would in any other sport. Same thing takes place, and it's a matter of us saying, okay, I think you'd be a good fit for who we are, and you fill a hole in the need that we have on our team, because we race many different types of bicycles. We're a lot like track and field in a way, where we have very different types of athletes within our team. Track and field, you got sprinters, you got long distance, you got throwers, you've got jumpers. On our team, we race different disciplines in the sport of cycling, and these different disciplines require uniquely different skills, different bikes, different types of athletes. And so we're trying to fill those holes to cover all those spots, just like any other team would, for positions that they have. And so, it's just all about communication. It's about connecting with the individual, aligning your values with theirs, and that they see themselves as coming here, growing, being better, and ultimately, graduating from Leeds McRae and it having been a wonderful experience for them. So it sets them up for success later in life.
Of course, in the sport of cycling, is it a all-day event, or is it like most sports like football, basketball, where it's that day you do it and then you go home?
Yeah, no, it's an all-day thing. The cool thing about cycling, unlike others, is that in other, basketball, you can only start 5. In baseball, you got 9 on the field. Football, it's 11 on offense or 11 on defense. In cycling, we do have different categories. We have what we call the A, elite level, and then we have a B and a C level, which are more beginners and intermediate abilities. So they're almost like you've got JV riders in an elite team. The JV and the beginner riders are able to go and race with us when we go and compete in any given weekend. And so when we go to a race weekend, it's typically a Saturday and a Sunday. Both days have always at least one, but most times we'll have at least 2 races on each day. And it'll start, the racing will start at 8 o'clock or 8 or 9 in the morning, and the racing will continue all throughout the day. We might not be done until 5 or 6 o'clock that evening. Different races for different category levels, and also men races and women races. So they are all day affairs, and it's not, our sport, collegiate cycling, isn't set up to where you say, oh, it's just going to be our men racing this one race, and you go and start at 9 o'clock and you're done at 11. No, it's from sun up to sundown, basically, each and every time we race.
Of course, as a head coach, what is it like conditioning your athletes to do that, where you can race from 9 to, let's say, 7?
Well, I mean, as I said, there's multiple races going on. So a given race does vary in its length. So it's not like one athlete is racing that entire time. One athlete's competition duration could be anywhere from just 30 minutes up to 3.5 hours. It just depends on the type of race and the level that they're at. So, conditioning is a big part of being successful in cycling because we are an endurance sport. And it's a little bit different than the other sports where certainly conditioning plays a big role, but in endurance sport, yeah, you not only have to get through your race successfully and resist fatigue, but you might have to race a second time later that day, and you might have to race one or two more times the next day. So yeah, the conditioning that you do, Monday through Friday, week to week, and then the periodization process of training throughout the whole calendar year is critical to having the endurance and strength you need on a race weekend, and have conditioned yourself to resist the fatigue in order to be successful at the most critical moments of a race. Like that's every endurance coach's biggest challenge when it comes to just being successful in the race itself. So yeah, we're the racers are not actually competing that entire time as a whole team. So it's broken up, but you still have to have a lot of endurance and focus to be ready and prepared when you know that, oh, I can't just race my race and go back to the hotel and wait the rest of the day. Like we're all there together, and if you're not racing, you're probably on the sidelines cheering your teammate or helping them fix a bike if it broke down for some reason. So everyone is highly engaged throughout that whole day. So yeah, there's not just physical conditioning, but there's some mental conditioning that has to take place too to endure that, for a weekend and then turn around and do it again the next weekend.
Of course, on the official visit, what does it look like for those prospective student athletes coming on to the official visit of Les McRae to see the practice facility?
Well, for us, we definitely encourage everybody to take a campus tour through our admissions department, and for them to get to see the many different areas of our campus up close, and visit inside buildings, perhaps maybe meet some professors and talk with admission staff to get a lot of their academic and financial aid questions answered. And once they wrap up their tour, then myself and my staff will meet with them individually to learn more about them and what they're looking for. And we will then take them on a walking tour of our on-campus facilities where we store our equipment, our bicycles, our offices, our training facilities. We have some indoor training facilities for when weather is not so good, where riders can train on a trainer. And so, yeah, we show them all these amenities that we have on campus, which just makes the day-to-day experience for a cyclist much more enjoyable and rewarding. Yeah, if the weather's great, we'll take them out on our mountain bike trails on a ride so they can see what those are like. Or if it's a road bike, we'll take them out on our roads and take them up some mountain climbs and show them what it's like to ride and train here. So we try our best to give them a really good perspective of what the experience is like day to day if you're a member of this team. And then we sit down and we just talk. We just have a conversation about who we are and try to answer their questions about what's important to them. And through that experience and conversation, try to make sure that our interests and values align, and that it would be a good fit for both sides.
What advice would you give future college cycling people looking to go into college to compete in cycling?
Well, are you talking about just advice as a competitor, or just if they want to race collegiately?
If they want to race collegiately.
Well, I think your question about campus visit, I think that's critical. I think it's important that they visit the schools they're interested in, and I would say visit as many schools as you can. I say to the recruits we speak with is that the recruiting process isn't just about finding what you like. The recruiting process for anybody is learning what you don't like. You need to know what it is. When you go and visit 5 different schools, there's going to be things that you love and things you don't love about each and every one of them. And you have to decide, what do you like the most? What are you really looking for? And what do you believe is going to help you to be successful and help you to thrive and to get better? So I would say the campus visit is critical, and to talk with the coach, to meet with people on the team, to find out what their culture is all about, to see if that's what you want. Do you really want this? There's not the same pipeline in cycling at the high school level and below the way there is for ball sports. There is a national high school league that is in most states in the country, but it's in its infancy. It's still less than 20 years old as an organization. So, there's not that team culture. There's not the team culture in the sport of cycling at the high school and younger ages that there is in other sports, and like what I'm accustomed to growing up with when I was younger. So many of them come into collegiate cycling, it will be their first time to be a part of a team like that. So I think it's important that they do their homework, they visit the campus, they talk with the coaches, they talk with team members, they try to find out, is this something I want to be a part of? Do I really want to experience the sport like this? Because the unique thing about our sport is that riders of any age level don't have to race collegiately to race bicycles. We have a governing body that puts on and promotes or helps promote bicycle races for amateur riders, that you don't have to be on a collegiate team to go to collegiate races to race in collegiate. Like you can go race your bicycle without collegiate. So deciding for themselves that this is what they really want, for it to to understand that this is a highly competitive situation, and do they really want that? And if that's what they want, then dig into the details of, does this team offer exactly what I'm looking for and what I want to experience? I'm a big believer in that. Before anybody does anything, before you go out there and you put in the work and you start going in a direction to accomplish something, is that you first have to define what you want. And if you don't know what you want, then there's no telling where you're going to end up. But the more you can clearly articulate what you want, why you want it, what's it going to take to get there, the more likely you are in being able to succeed in that endeavor. So I think it's important to know what you want, define what you want, and then go out there and do the homework and investigate. That's critical.
Of course, what one advice would you give college coaches looking to get started in coaching and college cycling?
Oh, wow. That's I think before anything, any coach really ought to reflect on why they want to coach. I think that's most important. I would not advise anybody to get into coaching just because they think coaching is cool and that they want to be a part of this lifestyle, and they want to be a part of, they just want to win. I just would not, that's not my advice to anybody. My advice would be to really dig into why you want to coach. What is it about coaching that appeals to you? Why? Understand your why. And from my standpoint, I think the most important thing that anybody, and this goes for leadership or coaching, either way, is that you have to have a heart to help people. Like you have to want to help people be more successful. You have to want to help them get better. You have to find joy in the process of helping people go from one level to the next level, no matter what level they start at. And so having a heart to help other people, I think, is crucial to being in coaching and thriving in coaching. And then if you can answer yes to that, then I think that's the best place to start. Don't worry about winning. Don't worry about losing. Those things, they come and go. But the biggest and lasting difference that you're going to make as a coach is your ability to help that person be a better person, a better athlete, a better student. And that if you find joy in doing that, then you're going to enjoy the profession of coaching. And then all those wins and losses will take care of themselves, So for me, I think the biggest advice is just, reflect on why you want to coach and really think deeply about that desire to help other people. And if you've got that, then I think you have a shot at being successful.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Lex McRae's cycling program app?
Well, for me, you can follow me on Instagram, I suppose, at Coach Tim Hall. I'm on Twitter as well at the same handle, at Coach Tim Hall. For the team, I think the best place where we see the most engagement nowadays is on Instagram. So our Instagram account is at LMC Cycling Team. We also have a Twitter account at that same name, at LMC Cycling Team. I think those are the best places to follow us and keep up with us. And then, of course, if anyone's interested in us, then you can go to our athletics website, which is lmcbobcats.com. And we've got a page for our men team and our women team. And then if someone's just interested in Lees McRae in general, they could visit lmc.edu.
Thank you again, Coach Tim Hall, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as the head cycling coach for the program at Les McRae.
Well, Brandon, it's my pleasure. I appreciate this opportunity, and I wish you and your listeners all the best.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Tim Hall, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.